Today's Cowboys Report will spend plenty of time discussing the futures of both Amari Cooper and DeMarcus Lawrence. I want to keep both of them. Catboy Stephen Jones might not feel the same way. So hypothetically speaking, if you could only choose one of these two guys to keep for 2022 and maybe beyond, who would it be? Type AC for Amari Cooper or DL for DeMarcus Lawrence. Let me know what you guys have to say at the pinned comment on today's video. Today's Cowboys Report is presented by Manscaped. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our partners at Manscaped want to make sure you're ready to go for that big night. Use promo code COWBOYS at manscaped.com to get 20% off and free shipping on all their great men's grooming products. Let's hit Amari Cooper to start off today's Cowboys Report. Is he going to get cut? I'll give this one 2 stars. More and more buzz, speculation, thinkings, and feelings that Cooper could be a cap casualty this offseason. That is what Bobby Belt, friend of the show, said recently on 105 through the Fan. He thinks both Cooper and DeMarcus Lawrence will end up being cap casualties this year. The Joneses have criticized Cooper and his production, acknowledging it's not all just Cooper. It's targets, scheme, offense, etc. I have zero doubts, and neither should you, that the Cowboys are better when Amari Cooper is involved. The offense works better, and even Cooper, normally so soft-spoken, made some public comments about his role on the offense. The problem is that Cooper's production this year unquestionably dipped. Now, in general, Cooper missed some time. Dallas didn't have to throw it as much as they were for a good portion of last year's terrible campaign. His numbers went down. Drops stayed pretty steady. There were a couple passes you could probably count as drops as well, not including the lateral to Cooper on third down that ended up not being complete. His numbers went down, and that is a red flag for a player making $20 million per year. Cooper was not as productive this year as he's been in the past, and Dallas failed to target him enough. That is both a product, I would say, more so of coaching, also your quarterback as well. So it is decision time with Amari Cooper. $20 million per year. You can save 16 with a trade, cut, or a just restructure of him. So what would you do with Amari Cooper? Type T for trade, K for keep, or C for cut. Simply put, I would keep Amari Cooper. Remember, don't let Catboy Stephen Jones fool you. Any money that you're going to save by trading or cutting somebody, you can save in the short term with a restructure. Take the savings, push the dead money and extra money into the future as the salary cap goes up, and then worry about that later when you're trying to be aggressive. Smart teams have done that. I think this team can fight for playoff spots and Super Bowls and all that stuff if they get better offensive game planning. I don't want to make my team worse. Why would I want to make my team worse for 2022 in the interest of salary cap space? You can make the money appear. But your ownership, namely Stephen Jones, doesn't want that because he doesn't have the same level of urgency as other organizations. Now, the wide receiver core is way better than what it was pre-Cooper. I don't think it's fair to say it was just Amari that saved the receiving core. Michael Gallup got better. They've added CeeDee Lamb, and Cooper, of course, had a major impact on that. And even if you lose Cooper, I think we feel a lot better about this Cowboys receiving core than it was in the Allen Hurns, washed-up Terrence Williams, and Cole Beasley as your top 3 guys. I will make note that Brian Broaddus mentioned using Cooper to trade up in the NFL draft. You have to make that move now-ish as opposed to waiting closer to the draft because then you're stuck with the same salary cap situation. I'd want a first for Cooper. I don't know if you could get one of those just with the way teams operate, but I don't want to trade Cooper in the first place. Maybe a second rounder is a bit more along the lines of his value, which does carry value, but I'd probably just keep him and be better with him on my team. Today's show, as I mentioned, powered by our friends over at Manscaped. Valentine's Day, fellas, it is just around the corner, and the last thing you want after a nice night out, you get back home, pants are coming off, and that's a little bit unkempt down there, making things look smaller than what they actually are. You don't want that. Use Manscaped. 20% off at manscaped.com. Use promo code Cowboys. Again, folks, 20% off at manscaped.com. Don't forget to use that promo code Cowboys. Look, we can thank Manscaped for me having a baby girl. She's almost 3 months old. You guys can do the math on that and the timing. Manscaped.com. Use promo code Cowboys to get you 20% off and free shipping. Link will be in the comments section and in the description. We mentioned Amari Cooper. Now DeMarcus Lawrence. Is he going to be a goner as well? I'm sticking 2 stars right now. I don't think the Cowboys know for certain what they're going to do with these 2 guys, so it'll firmly be in that rumor category. And there are a bunch of media reports going all different directions here. I do trust Bobby Belt quite a bit, and he says he does think the Cowboys will make Cooper and Lawrence cap casualties this year, which isn't like a locked-in thing, but it is the indication and hints that the front office has laid to an extent. Lawrence in particular, you got to do something with him. A $27 million cap hit this year, it's an issue. I don't want to pay him that. I don't have to pay him that, though. I can get around that. And Jeff Kavanaugh, friend of the show as well, says this. I believe it's possible, Jeff says, that Tank is back next year on a straight-up reduced cap number. Not reporting it will happen, but based on talking to a lot of people who know different things, I think it's a viable thing that could absolutely happen. That'd be a win for the Dallas Cowboys if he just comes back for less money. Now, you could do a restructure, you could do an extension as well, but look, I love DeMarcus Lawrence. His sack numbers have been down for 3 straight years. That is an issue. Part of that is the supporting cast around him. This year was really due to the injuries, but every game that Lawrence plays, there are multiple splash plays. Not included on here, for example, is a non-sack that he hit the quarterback on 3rd down, ball pops up, leads to interception. The impact plays are undoubtedly there on the film, but if you're only box score scouting, you don't feel that great about DeMarcus Lawrence. So what would you do? Look, the money is an issue now. And the injuries are a factor here as well, if we're being honest. So, what would you do with DeMarcus Lawrence? Type R for restructure him, or type D for dump. I'm a little bit more open to having the restructure or the dump conversation for Lawrence because I'd like to retain Randy Gregory, although Gregory is not that much younger than what DeMarcus Lawrence is at this point. I do think that Tank is your best defensive lineman. Not counting Micah Parsons in that conversation. We'll call him linebacker or lionbacker for now. But you got to fix his cap hit. You don't save that much by cutting Tank Lawrence. A restructure would actually save you more money depending on how much you choose to restructure. But the trust in his health is a major factor here. Restructures do push more dead money into the future, which is fine if you're being aggressive and trying to win games. But if you do not trust DeMarcus Lawrence to stay healthy, then you cannot restructure his deal. You can't do it. At that point, you have to move on or ask to take an outright pay cut like you did with DeMarcus Ware, and we know how that went down. Lawrence and Cooper would both have interest. I think Cooper, by the way, is a hell of a lot easier to trade than Tank Lawrence is. Now, if you guys want updates on all things Cowboys, news, rumors, mailbags, trades, free agency, draft, in-season, off-season, everything, you've come to the right spot. Hit that big red button and subscribe to the #1 Cowboys YouTube channel. Let's spend the rest of our show talking about Michael Gallup and his surgery. 4 stars on this one. It is finally going to go down. The surgery here for Gallup is planned for Thursday, this upcoming Thursday. That is a not much longer, but a noteworthy longer time frame than usual between the injury and the actual surgery. Now, the reasons here are twofold more than anything. Number one, there was swelling in that knee. You need that to go down, to make the surgery easier and to make your recovery time easier. And I think at that point, what the team and player were actually doing as well was using some PT time for his quad area, that thigh, because once surgery happens, he's not going to be walking, so you can't quite get as much done in terms of keeping your muscle mass, so you kind of work it out a little bit before the surgery to make your recovery time easier. He's going to be back just fine before the season ends, so it's not, oh my God, it took a month and a half, meltdown. No, it's fine. It is longer than normal. Don't freak out about it. Gallup's numbers, though, have dipped every year since 2019. Had that big breakout season. 2020, blame the quarterback. 2021, blame the injuries. That does impact his value, as does the knee injury. So for the Cowboys, I think him being banged up this year actually might help their chances of re-signing him. The question is, would they choose to keep both Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup? I'm not so sure from that one. I don't know if that's the route they would really go in the end. So I think that makes it a interesting conversation as to what the Cowboys end up doing between Gallup and Cooper and all those conversations on their big-time players. So pick one for me. Type 19 for you would rather keep Amari Cooper, or type in 13 for you'd rather keep Gallup. You could keep both of them if you want to. The Cowboys, though, might not choose to want to keep both of those guys. So let me know right now in the comments section, 19 or 13. Some final thoughts on this one. I love Michael Gallup. The other part you got to consider here is it's not necessarily just Gallup. What if you could move on from Amari Cooper and retain Gallup and maybe help you keep one of your safeties? Oh, that's a different conversation. So you can keep all those guys if you want to, but we also have to operate how the Cowboys are going to operate. They're not going to be that aggressive. So it could be both. The likely outcome is probably one or the other because Catboy just doesn't want to spend aggressively with his salary cap.